Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for August 2nd, 2024. We're going to do our first fantasy football mock draft for the 2024 NFL season. It is August, so that means it's fantasy football mock draft time. We're going to do a ton of mock drafts this month. We had a lot of requests for it, and now the time has come. So every episode this month is going to be just focused on fantasy football mock drafts, with the exception of Saturday's episode. I'm going to do one last Saturday show with Tom. I say last just for this month because we're going to have Saturday football on for the preseason. So I don't think we'll be able to do Saturday shows. Instead of Saturday shows, I think we'll do Monday shows instead, and that'll allow us to do more mock drafts. And so Tom will be back during the season doing Thursday thoughts as usual. So going to be a lot of fun this month. Can't wait to do it. I'll post I'll show you guys the details in a second of which room we're going to go into. Thought I'd do it here first for the people watching, the loyal people who watch. I think you should get like first dibs on a room, and then I'll post it on Twitter and Facebook, and hopefully we get a full room tonight. Cinder saying, what's your plan for bets this year? Parlay props, player props, mostly just spreads. Well, I mean, I'll be picking every spread, every game against the spread as usual. It's funny. I had a conversation with my developer who's known me since our college days. He was my college roommate. And he's like, wait, you've handicapped every game for like decades now, right? I mean, yeah, actually, as of November, it'll be 25 years. I've handicapped every single game in the NFL the past 25 years. So, we'll have picks for every game. Obviously, not bets for every game because some games you just don't know. But yeah, spread picks for every game. Going to do same game parlay as usual. We did that last year, in the second half of last year. People seemed to like it, so going to do that. And then player props. I'm going to try to find probably 6 to 8 player props each week to see what I like. I'm not going to force anything. I think last year I made the mistake of doing a player prop for each game. I think that this year just want to be smart about it. Also, I want to do some more in-game betting. It's like second half betting and stuff like that. So, we're going to do that as well. And I talked about it before, focus a little bit less on the recaps. Still going to do recaps for each game, but they're not going to be as long as they usually are. Our recaps are pretty long. And I was kind of doing a the analysis of my time I spend on different parts of the website, and I figured out that I usually spend a half hour to 40 minutes on each recap, and even if it's only a half hour, if there's 16 games each week, that's 8 hours. That's a full workday just on my recaps, and the recaps page gets some traffic, but not a ton. So it's just not time well spent. So instead of a half hour on each game, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and then I can spend that 10 to 15 minutes times 16 or however many games there are that week. I could do in-game props and in-game bets and stuff like that. So that's the plan. Dick says, what's the format? It's gonna be 12-team standard to start. It's our first mock of the season. So I thought it'd be fine to be basic B, just regular scoring 12 team. Because obviously this 18 7 round 0.72 PPR, the ESPN special. Yeah, you have to find eight people to do it, and 7 guys who don't know what they're doing. it's basically ESPN. Dick says, just had a super flex draft this weekend, crushed it. That's awesome. Send us your roster. I'm curious to hear what you have. All right, so before I give the room details, do the usual spiel. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that will be really appreciated. As you can see here in the merch store, we have a ton of stuff. We have a ton of t-shirts. I did not get to do the apron yet. And try to do it this weekend. But a lot of shirts, including our August's Gluttony Month t-shirt. You can get it here for $19.55. And it's an important message. You can show everyone that gluttony rights are human rights. It's extremely important for those gluttons like us celebrate this month of August. And you can get any t-shirt color. You get pink if you want. You can get red. You have green, you have light blue. It's really cool. You can select any color you want. I think there's you see more. Yeah, you can get hoodies and stuff like that, sweatshirts. Let's see what that looks like. The site is pretty cool, although I would not recommend white because the text is white. But you could probably select something else. So yeah, I think that the site's pretty cool and they deliver pretty quickly and reliably. So yeah, any orders here would be appreciated, and also any super chats, super stickers. It's been so helpful because YouTube ads pay nothing. So you guys have been so great, especially John and Slew with your super chats. We also had Germ recently, Kevin Kovac, $25 in super stickers a few weeks ago. Degeneron, you guys have been so gracious with your contributions, and it's just really appreciated. I say this all the time, but yeah, these YouTube ads pay nothing, and we have a great core in here. It's like the same guys every night. It's a great community. I think we get some new people too here and there, but for the most part, it's we have the same group of guys here, and it's really awesome. So thank you so much for your contributions. All the time. Also, on Amazon, we have my book. It's called Jerks to the College Years. It's another way to support the show. For $13.99, it's you can read all my stories from college. I met a lot of weird people. As you can see here, this guy was afraid of spiders. I saved him in the shower from the spiders, and then he he told all his friends about me, and they called me a hero. So weird stories like that in my book. So if you like Jerks of the Week, you might like Jerks of the College Years. All right, so free the apron, exactly. I don't know if they Bucker was right. Is that the most offensive thing? I feel like we've done way more offensive things than Bucker was right. Maybe they just stopped selling aprons. So I'm going to see if that was actually the case. Let's see. Leading then to your site for more information. Yeah. We'll have a ton for sure. And then are you the model for the t-shirts? No, unfortunately not. I don't know who the guy is. So it's just if anyone creates shirts, you get that guy. It's I don't know, but I have no idea who that is. So I don't even know if it's a real person. All right, so let's head to Fantasy Football Calculator mock draft. Reload the page. I'm going to go to non-PPR, and I'm going to select the 12 here. So this room 15032978 here at the bottom. There's 737 left right now. I don't know what slot I want. Maybe I'll go to 2. I'll go to 2. So all right. So that is what I'm doing right now. The room again 15032978. So the draft starts in 7 minutes, so we can BS until then. I will post this on Twitter, so just give me a second. Although Cassandra says, time to find out which players aren't randomly missing from the FFC this season. Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, usually there are a handful of guys we just can't find. So I'm going to tweet this out, but you guys had first dibs, so let me just tweet this out for a second. Calculator. A few minutes. Okay. All right. So yeah. Paste. Sorry for the boring thing there. I was typing up the tweet. So all right. Pick 5. Nice. Cool to have you in here, Dick. Hopefully we get a full room here, and not some computers. I don't know if you guys. We already have Togo Bagley, Kid No Name. I remember these names from years past in the summer. So glad you guys are back. This is awesome. So again, hopefully we get a full room. I don't know if you guys watched the Hall of Fame game. I was falling asleep at my desk in the second quarter. I know that there was more scoring than usual in the Hall of Fame game, but it was just rough to watch. It's I just don't care about Davis Mills or Brett Rippon or Case Keenum or who's the other quarterback, Tyson Bagent. I just who cares? I don't know. I learn nothing from this game outside of Roshan Johnson being ahead of Khalil Herbert. I think that was the one interesting thing from the game. Outside of that, just really had nothing, got nothing from this game, which was to be expected. I was at least hoping maybe Rome Odunze would play, but no, he was not on the field. Colin Johnson looked good. He was the receiver from Texas a few years ago. So I mean that was something. He made 2 nice catches, and one was ruled incomplete because the ball barely touched the ground. But still, it was there were 2 nice catches, but still, like, he's not going to make any splashes this year unless there are a ton of injuries or something. Like, if the Bears have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze. Like, if all 3 guys go down, maybe Colin Johnson will do something in fantasy. But, like, the fact that he did like something tonight, like he was the star of the game, it just was meaningless. And it's funny, DraftKings ran a contest. It was like 50,000 the first, and there was a solo winner too. Usually in showdowns, you have like a bunch of people tie for first or something, and like a $50,000 first place is usually like $5,000 to like however many people. But like some guy hit like a solo lineup without any duplicates, and I saw his name by himself at the top. I'm like, wow, did he have Colin Johnson as MVP? Or a captain? And no, he actually had Roshan Johnson as captain. He had Colin Johnson in his flex, so it could have been even better, that lineup. So that was pretty crazy if you think about it. Like, if you just swap those 2, you could have beaten him in 150 grand. But yeah, let's see if we have any comments here. Dick says Herbert seems like a trade option. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe to Dallas, because the Cowboys have nothing at running back. I can see that for sure. Cassandra says we're best refunded from the game. Well, I don't know. I didn't like usually for like games that don't go, it's like 55 minutes or something. I forget what it is. Like, those games are considered non-action. Remember that. I mean, this is to like a much more extreme extent, but that game 2 years ago with the Bills Bengals, that DeMar Hamlin almost died on the field, where they played like a half a quarter or something, or whatever it was. That game, even though the Bengals were up 7-0 and they were driving, or was it 7-3 and they were driving, they ruled it non-action. So I think that's the same case here. I think that's the kind of the standard for every sports book. So I didn't bet the game, so I don't know if they ruled it, but like for DraftKings lineups, I think it just plays out that way. Actually, I'm not sure. Actually, I don't know if they'll pay out the $15 that I won. We'll see. We'll see if I get the $15. But I am more concerned about the Rainmaker payouts, honestly, which we should get by next Tuesday, which is my birthday. So hopefully we get a good payout. Otherwise, I will be suing them. Yeah, F DraftKings, totally. I don't understand the Rainmaker's decision. Right, so we have 3 computers left. Let me retweet this. Okay, spots left. There's the football mock draft. Yeah, hopefully Rainmakers pays out. But all right. So Matthias says hopefully they don't refund people, stop betting on preseason, let alone the Hall of Fame game, or just cancel the whole preseason. I'm so tired of this. Like, in years past, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, like when the starters played, it meant something. But now starters don't play at all. Like, Caleb Williams is a rookie and he didn't even see action. It's like, what's the point, really? Like, quarterback, sure. Rome Odunze, first, like 9th overall pick, didn't play. These rankings are completely jacked up. Oh, by the way, if you're in here, remember to go to high draft. I like to go high drafted players and play alert notifications just so you don't miss it. So we have 3 computers left. I just retweeted this, so hopefully it's not too late for people. 11:30 on the East Coast after this game. I don't know if like people just signed off after the game, like was delayed with a thunderstorm, and maybe they just went to bed. But because we have a lot of demand for fantasy mock drafts. It's like every episode, it's like questions like, when are we going to do fantasy mock drafts? So. Yeah, I mean, we're going to do them all August, so I'm excited for it. Let's see. So yeah, still 3 computers left, all in the middle, which is it's kind of weird. But yeah, so I had the number 2 overall pick. I assume McCaffrey's going to number 1. Bugnuts, I don't know what he's going to do. But I assume I'm going to take Breece Hall. So the defenses are literally just Ravens, 49ers, Dolphins, and the rest are alphabetical. The Falcons at the bottom. Well, maybe if they took Laius Ulatu, they would be a little higher. Probably not. All right, so draft starts in 8 seconds here. I will move my rankings here. I actually have I have like the top 250 on the site. What I do is I just copy paste it into Notepad. So I'm on the clock. McCaffrey, as expected, off the board. I love Breece Hall this year. What he did last year, passing like receiving wise, reminded me of Marshall Faulk, and he's not coming off a torn ACL anymore. The offensive line has improved. Aaron Rodgers is there, and like the running backs with Rodgers have always produced. So I think Breece Hall is going to have a huge year, and I wouldn't fault anyone for taking him number one overall, but I think you can make a case for several players to go number one. I think McCaffrey, obviously, Hall, Bijan Robinson. I think he is going to have a huge year now that Arthur Smith is gone. And then there is, if you want to go receiver, CeeDee Lamb makes a lot of sense, or Tyreek Hill. Like what he was doing in the first half of last year was insane. And then things kind of fell apart. He got hurt, and he didn't break the records he was trying to obtain. But still, so if someone took him number one, I wouldn't blame them. The starts so far. So we had those three computer picks in a row, which is gonna be kind of annoying to keep track of. So we had Tyreek Hill go, and then Jonathan Taylor. I like him. He's not coming off the holdout anymore. You have Jamar Chase, it's fine picking in the first round, and then Saquon Barkley, who I feel like could be the same as Christian McCaffrey. Like what McCaffrey did for the 49ers, I think Barkley could do for the Eagles. And it's kind of cool that Barkley has never played behind a great offensive line like this. So I'm pretty eager to see what he does. I like the Kyron Williams pick, Bagley. I think people are scared of his injuries, but like we've seen him produce on an insane level. So I think that he, like the upside is definitely through the roof. Deebo Samuel not listed. Let's see. Let's check this out. Let's see. Samuel. Yeah, he's there. Deebo Samuel's here. All right, let's see. Justin Jefferson is the pick. Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round. You have to think that he's going to get more touches than he did last year. And toward the second half of the year, he was pretty spectacular. So nothing I hate yet. I don't think anyone's made any bad picks. I assume the computer is going to make some bad picks soon. But not in the first or second round. It's probably like round 4 is when it kind of gets sketchy for the computer. AJ Brown goes. I like that pick. He like that whole Eagles offense this year is going to be awesome. Can't wait to watch it, and hopefully I'm right about them winning the Super Bowl. I think they could definitely do it. So Slew goes with AJ Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown, the double Browns there. Great start for his receiving core. So Slew, I wonder if you're experimenting going double receiver, or if that's what you would normally do. And I think that just based on the big board, that makes a lot of sense. But I do think that fantasy mock drafts are a good time to like kind of experiment and be like, hey, what does my team look like if I could double receiver or like double running back? So, all right. So we have the first pick. I don't like Derrick Henry. He was the top of my bust list. Baltimore lost 3 starting offensive linemen, so the run blocking is going to be worse. And then we had a bunch of picks in a row. So I'm not high on Henry at all this year. We had Isaiah Pacheco, Josh Jacobs I like a lot, Garrett Wilson, and then Drake London. I know Kenny would hate that Drake London pick. Didn't hear from Kenny, though, since last night. I hope he's okay. Because usually he'll respond. But I invite him on the show tonight, and I didn't hear from him, which is very unusual. So hopefully that dinner went well. All right, so Puka Nacua went off the board. I like Nacua a lot. I don't think last year was a fluke. I think he's going to be great again. So I'm up in 2 picks. So looking at my board, the top players available are all running backs, and frankly, these receivers are kind of underwhelming. I think, I don't know. I mean, usually if this was a real draft, I wouldn't mention any names. I think that's I don't like that. I don't like doing that, but because it could influence picks. But the top receivers I have on my board, like Mike Evans, I don't like him this year. Brandon Ayuk, just don't know where he's going to play. Deebo Samuel, who has an injury history. Devontae Adams. You have Jalen Waddle. I mean, he's good, I guess, but Joe Mixon just went off the board. Um, Man, these guys suck. Who's still left? Like Rashad White is my top running back, and I don't want to take him in the second round. James Conner's there. I don't want to take him either in the second round. That seems insane. Aaron Jones, I like Jones, but that run blocking is bad. Plus, he has an injury history. Man, this is rough. This is really rough. I'm gonna. The top guy on my board is Rashad White. I'm gonna take him, but I don't really like it. I'm kind of disappointed here. Okay, so Big Nuts is on auto draft, so he took Ayuk and Hurts. Yeah, I'm gonna take one of these receivers, and I kind of realized that like I need to have. I think I'm gonna take. It's Brandon Ayuk. I was gonna say I'm gonna take Brandon Ayuk. He's gone. Yeah, this is pretty rough. If Ayuk is traded or something, Debo could have a big year, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'm going to take. No, you know what? I'm going to take Jalen Waddle. I like Miami's offense a lot. I'm going to move Jalen Waddle up my rankings. So I've been talking about Miami's offense the entire time. So last year, they were explosive in the first half, and then they just sat on the ball in the second half because they had big leads, and their defense was really good. But this year, their defense could be a lot worse. So I think they're going to have to throw a lot in the second half. So I feel like their passing numbers are going to be insane. I think Tua is a great bet to win passing leader for the season. Although you never know with his injury history. Olave went. That's a solid pick. Kenneth Walker as well. And then we're going to have the computers after Togo here. So got to be prepared for a few picks. I have to say I'm not in love with my start, man. This number 2 spot's kind of rough. Like Joe Mixon was like the last guy I wanted, really. When he went off the board, just didn't really see anything alike. So Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was on my bust list. You can see that on the site. I posted that this morning. This morning. So I don't like the Cooper Kupp pick, but that was computers starts to get sketchy around this time. Mahomes was picked by the computer. Nico Collins. Interesting that he's the top receiver for the Texans. I feel like any of the 3 could be the top receiver this year. So I feel like whoever's picked first is going to have the least value. Because I think Tank Dell is probably the best pick there for the Texans. DJ Moore was chosen by Bagley. He's a good receiver to take there in the third round. From where I was drafting, I think maybe slightly too early, but if you look at the receivers drafted after me, like after Waddle, you have Olave, you have Evans, Kupp, Collins, and Moore. Of those guys, I think Moore's probably the safest. I think because Evans is 31, Olave's playing with Derek Carr. Cooper Kupp is also 31, and Nico Collins doesn't have this track record of success. So we're getting quarterbacks going here. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts. I think that's way too early for quarterbacks. But then again, I'm looking at the talent available, and it's not that great. So maybe I have to kind of loosen my perspective on quarterbacks here because just the third round is just fine. It's there's not no running backs or receivers stand out to me as guys you need in the third round. Running backs are weak, very weak. You're right, Dick. Take James Cook. I don't know. I guess I could have. Hate the Achane pick. Too many cooks in the Finns backfield. Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see. Consumptions. I think Walt talked either directly or indirectly about how terrible Rashad is at running the ball in every single Tampa Bay spread pick right up last year. I'm serious. It might have been everyone. He is bad at running the ball. He's good at catching. Did Herbert hurt his foot? Yes. He has plantar fasciitis, which, according to a doctor on Twitter, I urge you to check out that video. I retweeted it or quote tweeted it. He said it's going to last the whole year. So that is not good news in the slightest. I think Matt Ryan had that issue one year. I don't know. I forget what year it was. It might have been 2010 or 2011. And he played like crap the entire year, once he got it. So That is definitely pretty worrying. I don't know if I'm going to touch any Charger now. And I think Slew replied to me on Twitter saying that he got the Chargers under win total, which I was leaning toward betting over because everyone's been talking me into the Chargers. Now definitely not. So Marvin Harrison Jr. went in the fourth round. I feel like he's been going earlier. Like I think his ADP is much earlier than that. So I think it's a good value there. Metcalf is gone. I forgot to cross out Waddle. This is pretty rough in terms of like keeping track when I'm the only one on. Like usually if I have guests on, I can just like quietly delete players rather than talk, but I have to talk the entire time because I'm the only person on here. So, all right. So let me see here. So the guy I was like, who was number 2 on my board is still here. Like he was number 2 on my board at 211 and he's still here. So I guess I'm going to take him even though like I'm not in love with it, but yeah, I assume he's on the board. So yeah, I like this team this year. Their offense, at least. Their defense is terrible. James Conner, I know he's an injury history, but he was excellent at the end of last year. What was this? Hurts and Burrow and Stroud. This computer is so. This AI is so bad. I was laughing at Burrow, and then Stroud came. I was thinking about Stroud in the 5th round because I was saying like how I don't like these guys. Yeah, this is insane. I don't know what to say about this. By the way, no tight ends except for Laporta went, which is interesting. So let's see here. I'm going to do something that I was saying I don't want to do. Well, hold on a second. I'm going to take – can I get this pick in? Yes, maybe. Yes, I did. Dalton Kincaid, I think he's going to have a huge year with Buffalo. I feel like he could have a Travis Kelce 2022 type season because the Bills, like, they have Curtis Samuel, who's okay, he's fine. You have a rookie and Keon Coleman, and you have Khalil Shakir. It's just like whatever. Like who else is Josh Allen going to throw to really outside of James Cook out of the backfield? Like I think Kincaid kind of a monster year. And my point was like I was thinking before, like I want to wait on tight ends and quarterbacks, but like given how bad these running backs and receivers are, I think maybe the right play is to take quarterbacks and tight ends early this year. I can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah, I think that's the right move. Although in my head, Debo was gone. Maybe because I was thinking about taking him. But yeah, that was a good pick by Dan in the 4th round. In my head, Debo was gone. I think I would have taken Debo instead. So like I said, it's kind of hard to draft when you have to talk the entire time. So and it's also hard to keep track of who's gone with 45 seconds, especially because I still have Alvin Kamara at the top of my board, and he was gone in the 4th round. So what do we have here? Just like, yeah, Metcalf. So Metcalf was like the top receiver. He's also gone. Zay Flowers was taken. Solid pick there by Bagley. I like Bagley's team. Like Kyron Williams, Pacheco, Zamir White, and the DJ Moore, Zay Flowers. So I think like drafting at the end seems so much better than drafting early. I think it's kind of a nightmare at 211. I just like, man, who would I take? I don't like any of these guys. At 211, I do like Rashad White, but in the 4th round, it's pretty rough. I don't know. Like maybe I should just go on Jalen Hurts. Really, now that I think about it, just and this is good. This is why like doing these fantasy drafts is so valuable because you get to learn like what's weak this year, and given how extremely weak running back receivers are, like I don't see the difference between guys like Rashad White, who I took at 211, and James Conner, who I took at 411. I had them back to back in my rankings. So, and like some of these, like Aaron Jones, he went at 401. I was considering him at 211. Like you can wait on these guys apparently. So, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe quarterback early is the way to go. And if Kenny's on here, he'd be yelling at me, but I think it might be just different this year. Now things could change, I suppose. if there are injuries and stuff like that. But at the moment, it's pretty rough. T. Higgins gone. Good pick there. Dave Montgomery. I like that as well. He was, I think he was number 3 on my board, unless I missed someone coming off. Matthias said, "What's your opinion on taking 2 offensive players in the same team in the first rounds?" If it's quarterback receiver stack, I like it. Outside of that, I don't. I just think you're curbing your own upside. Like if you take a running back receiver from the same team, like every time that running back scores a touchdown, the receiver is not. Like you're kind of have to hope that your player from that team is going to score the most touchdowns. Now, if it's AJ Brown and then Jalen Hurts, like I like that a lot because there's positive correlation there. I think like the best fantasy team I've ever had. It was that one year that Brady kept throwing a ton of touchdowns to Rob Gronkowski, and I had both of them on my team, and like it just felt like I was unstoppable. And like I think I lost like one game that year or something. So I love if you can correlate. But I don't like it because it's negative correlation. You just don't want to do it. It just really hurts your upside. And what if that team plays in like bad weather or something like that? Then no one scores. That's just really rough. All right, so I'm on the clock right now. Kind of okay. I was gonna be like, is Amari Cooper available? No, he's not. He's taken. Okay, I think I'm gonna look for a guy Kenny likes a lot. So Kenny gets to go from criticizing me to liking my pick, Christian Kirk. I like Christian Kirk. What? four quarterbacks. That's great. They took their 4th quarterback before their 2nd running back. That's brilliant. All right. So so what am I doing here? I have to kind of figure this out. So let's see here. Let's see. Okay, let me look. I'm gonna say Christian Watson. I think he's gonna have a big year. He's kind of like investigating why his hamstring issues were so persistent, and it was because like one hamstring was bigger than the other. I don't really know what you can do about that, but like again, the fact that I've said this before, but the fact that he's so proactive about it, I think that gives me something like I think that's pretty encouraging. This is the bad part about having computers in your draft. Like this guy took 4 quarterbacks, and maybe this is not a computer. Maybe Bugnuts was just trolling us, and he had it selected that way. But like, what sucks about that is like at 502, I think I would have gone Stroud if he was available over Kincaid. So I just wonder what the rest of my team would have looked like. Like, what if Kincaid comes back to me at 6'11"? Now maybe John has something to say about that. But yeah, maybe he would have taken it. But I think that it just sucks because that like this mock draft got ruined by Bugnuts' drafting or lack thereof, I guess. All right, so let's go to some. Yeah, he's hoarding all the quarterbacks. Let's maybe he's going to get a good trade for these players. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking back. I think he queued up a bunch of quarterbacks and they really screwed up. So we had Jerome Ford, Devin Singletary. I was considering Singletary by one another receiver. DeAndre Swift goes. I think he gets injured fairly early, and I think whoever has the correct Bears running back is going to do well. And so Bagley's on the clock. He is Williams, Pacheco, Moore, White, Flowers, and Kittle. It's a good team. Check out some other teams. John has Jefferson, Harrison as receivers, Josh Allen quarterback, Henry, Montgomery. I'm not a fan of the Henry pick, but I like the rest of your team. Chris Godwin too. He's going to have more action in the slot this year. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Marquise Brown was another guy I was considering at 702. I think that was a really good pick. Mostert went. Kid No Name has 4 running backs. He has Gibbs, ATN, Cook, Mostert, all solid. His receivers, Adams, Pickens, Higgins. I like that quite a lot. So again, it looks like drafting later is much easier than drafting early because at 211, I was just out of options. So I said this before. I think I regret not going Hurts or whatever, whichever quarterback I have number 1, like Mahomes or something at 211. Or actually probably 302 because if you're drafting with a real person, that person's not going to take both quarterbacks. So Jordan Love was the quarterback, another quarterback I was considering. So Slew took him. So his team is the Browns, then Sam Laporta, then Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren, Brian Robinson, Jordan Love. I like that team. Concerned with Jones's injury history, but where you took him, I think is a good value. Because I'm mentioning Jones, I was considering him 211. I'm like, that's just way too much of a risk, but a 401 I think is pretty good. All right, so let's see here. John says Kincaid's yards per target went up after Brady took over. Some high on him, especially with Diggs being a turncoat. I think Kincaid can have a monster year for sure. Mike said Walt went back-to-back Christians, which is good because that team will need a lot of prayers. Yeah, this team, as you can tell, I'm drafting for the first time this year. This is really bad. Dyson doesn't like Bagley's team. I think it's good. What don't you like about Bagley's team? Kind of curious. Let's see. Matthias says, so would you say Slew is curving their upside by taking St. Brown and Laporta? Okay, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't notice that. So Slew, Slew, this is something I wouldn't do is take a receiver from a receiver tight end from the same team because it's again you're gonna lose on the touchdowns. Although St. Brown doesn't catch that many touchdowns. So maybe you're hoping for like St. Brown, ton of work between the 20s, and then Laporte catches the touchdowns. Because like St. Brown really doesn't get that many targets in the end zone, I mean. So that's something to consider for sure. So maybe that's like an exception. All right, so we're heading toward the end of the 8th round. I have 3 running backs, 3 receivers. I can go after another one, really. I have my tight end already. So I just wish this were a little slower so I could cross off people correctly. Because I just saw Joe Burrow pop up on my sheet. And I'm like, okay, he's been long gone. Singletary, Kirk, Brown, all gone. I can delete all these people. Let's see here. I don't have to worry about another quarterback going here. So let's see. Probably close that Watson. I'm gonna take a shot with Tajay Spears. He could end up being the starting running back. Like we just don't know. It's probably Pollard, but I think you can take a risk here with Spears. And then going to go with the quarterback here. I mentioned this, and this is the positive correlation I'm looking for. So I took Jalen Waddle, and now I can get Tua in round 902. Like I said before, like Miami's offense is going to be much different this year, at least in the first half, because they're going to have to throw a lot in the second half of games because their defense is not nearly as good as it was last year. So, I like the correlation with Tua and Waddle. That's usually like try to aim for as a quarterback to match up with the player I took earlier, especially receiver or tight end. So obviously couldn't get Josh Allen this late, but if a cool thing would have been if I took Josh Allen here or if I took let's say I took Waddle here and then Josh Allen here. I think that would have been more ideal. And then it took Kincaid. Like I'd have the Josh Allen to Kincaid stack. I think that would be pretty cool. So that would have been earlier. James Conner catches a lot of passes, so you can argue Kyler Murray. Although I'd rather go quarterback plus receiver or tight end. Trevor Lawrence works with Christian Kirk. Jordan Love would theoretically work with Christian Watson. He was taken at the end of the 7th round, so that never had a chance. All right, so Xavier Worthy went. I think it's too early for him. Blake Corum, a bunch of rookies here. Keon Coleman, and then you have the opposite. DeAndre Hopkins. I know this computer drafting him. Hopkins hurt his ankle today, or I think it was yesterday. It was a high ankle sprain, so he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. He might be able to play week 1, but you just never know. He may not be 100%. So something to keep in mind there. So we have Dallas Goedert going. Bagley took 2 tight ends. I don't like that. unless you like obviously you have to start 2 tight ends or something. But I know you can play one in the flex. I just feel like tight ends in the flex are a mistake because they don't have the upside of receivers or running backs. Like they're never like they're almost never going to have a monster game. Like they could, but receivers and running backs are way more likely to have monster games. Chuba Hubbard's great pick here at 9-11. He's everyone's trying to draft Jonathan Brooks, who went around earlier. Hubbard is healthy, unlike Brooks, and he's the incumbent. And it kind of reminds me of Montgomery Gibbs last year. Everyone drafted Gibbs early, but it was Montgomery getting most of the workload to start. Still getting Tyler Algier, so that I think that's a great handcuff to have for Bijan. Not that Sue has Bijan. I like drafting other people's handcuffs. So taking Rashid Shaheed as well, who, if Olave goes down, he's the number one receiver suddenly. So, I kind of like him. So we're in round 10 now, and this is where I start to draft off my sleepers page. Because I think round 10 onward is kind of like where you're just shooting for the fences or just swinging for the fences, because you want those high upside picks. And I used to call it like the Wayne Corbett rule, where you would like people in the past. There's this receiver for the Jets, in case you're young and don't know the name. Wayne Corbett used to be a receiver for the Jets. He was a good player in real life, but he'd always have like 5 catches for 50 yards or 60 yards, which doesn't sound great now, but back then, when passing numbers weren't terrific, like those were solid numbers, and he was always like dependable on third down. Like he was like a good real player, but in fantasy he just didn't do anything. But like people would always take him because he was the number 2 receiver for the Jets for a while. Like Keyshawn Johnson was number 1 receiver for Corbett, and then I don't know who else they got after that, but Corbett was always the number 2 receiver there, and people would always take him because he was a starter. But he had no upside, and then they would just cut him by like week 5 or week 6 because like he gave him nothing for the upside. I just like, it seems like a wasted pick. Like you can always pick up a player like Wayne Corbett. I don't know who the real life version of that would be right now. I'd have to think about it, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll probably see it like later in like round 13. The computer will draft someone, and I'll be like, yeah, that's the Wayne Corbett for now. So we have I'm up in a couple of picks here. Jordan Addison just went. He has good upside. I like this pick by Dan. And then Mega's on the board now, and then just me. Harper asking when's the next draft. It's going to be Monday. We're going to do only this month. We're going to do Monday shows instead of Saturday, except for this Saturday coming up. It's going to be our last show with Tom on Saturday this month, just because we can't do it, like I said before, for the preseason. All right, so I am up now. Let's see here if one of my sleepers, J.K. Dobbins, is available. I have not done the research on the Achilles yet, but J.K. Dobbins is the starting running back for the Chargers at the moment. Although the Chargers took a big hit today with the plantar fasciitis story. All right, so I probably should not take Brian Thomas. He was next to my sleepers page, but I'm like, yeah, I have Christian Kirk. So I think Chase Brown's off the board. Let's see here. Let's go. Oh, he's off the board too. I think I'm going to be timed out here. Hopefully not. I'm going to take Ricky Pearsall real fast. I hope I get in. Yeah. All right. I got Ricky Pearsall. Like that was, I was typing in some players and I was on the running back. So like, that's the issue there. I didn't realize. I was trying to get someone else. But a couple of sleepers were sniped before me. Khalil Shakir. There's someone else too. I remember seeing someone else's name, and I pass over Josh Palmer because of Justin Herbert. But I have to kind of like rethink that. What I'm going to do with the Charger receivers. I don't want to like completely give up on Justin Herbert. Like the injury may not be as serious as it may sound, but it could be bad. And like I said, Matt Ryan had that 1 year where he just was awful because of the plantar fasciitis. Mike says Christian Kirk is the new Wayne Corbett. I don't know. I like Christian Kirk. He's produced. He's been a good fantasy player. Adam Thielen, that could be a good one. Yeah, I could see it. Although with Deontay Johnson there and Xavier Leggett, like he's the third receiver now, so like he doesn't quite qualify. Jameson Williams, Jameson Williams maybe. They got booted out of the draft. That sucks. But yeah, we'll be doing drafts all month, Dick. So John says sent you the link on Twitter video from yesterday detailing the research for running backs coming off torn Achilles. It's fascinating how ineffective they are the next year. Link in the Twitter. Where did you send the link in Twitter? Did you message me privately, or did you was it a reply to a tweet? Hold on. So we have Trevor Lawrence, Khalil Herbert, Brandon Cooks, Curtis Samuel. Yeah, good picks. I think even though they're by the computer, Rico Dowdle. Don't know what to make of him given the comments about Royce Freeman, but Javonte Williams just went. I don't know if I'd draft him. Yeah, so Matthias said Bagley's team has a few busts. Zay and DJ Moore. Don't like the white pick at the time, and taking Jameson Williams over Addison's interesting as well. I mean, I like Zay and I like Moore. I think they'll be fine. I was trying to draft for one of the Bronco running backs. So is it McLaughlin, I guess? Because I says, well, you should try sleeper for these drafts. You can change the time limit. You can alter troll picks. It won't kick people off permanently if disconnect. It looks good on streams. A sleeper. What is that? Do you know what is the URL there? Because I'm down to alter this because I don't know. Like this right here is silly. So yeah, I'm down to alter this. Like I don't know. I'm good to move off of Fantasy Football Calculator. Sleeper is pretty good. I've never heard of Sleeper. Is it sleeper.com? Where do you find it? I guess I could just Google it, right? Xavier is supposed to be Shakir. Okay. It makes sense. Okay, let's see. So we're in the 12th round now. I assume this is still 15 rounds for some reason. I don't know why they always go 15 rounds instead of 16. It's like another annoying thing on here. Adonai Mitchell just went. Yeah, so Slew's team, we reviewed it earlier, but let's see here. So he added Deontay Johnson, Algier, Rashid Shaheed, Adonai Mitchell, and Bucky Irving. I like Slew's team. It looks pretty good. The receivers are really strong. Running backs are questioned here with Jones' injury history. Warren may not get the full workload. Plus, you never know with Arthur Smith, but outside of that, like I love Laporta. I like Jordan Love, so it looks like a good team to me. Let's see. As far as kid no name, he took the 3 running backs early: Devontae Adams, Pickens, and Higgins. That's a really strong start, and then Mostert's pretty good. The Brock Purdy, he's going with Purdy and Jaden Daniels. So I like this. Like Purdy is safe, and then Jaden Daniels has like extreme upside. I'm a big fan of taking Jaden Daniels down here for sure. And then Evan Ingram's it's a slam dunk pick in the 10th round for tight end. He was 4th in catches last year, like not just for tight ends, like overall. It's kind of insane. So I like Kid No Name's team a lot. John Schron, like I said before, I don't like Henry, and I'm kind of warming up to the quarterback early. I kind of like reevaluate and like draft a little more, but so you took Henry. Montgomery, Jonathan Brooks. I don't like Jonathan Brooks. I don't like Javonte Williams. I think Cortland Sutton's going to regress. Don't like that. Godwin is okay, but PPR, non-PPR, I just don't know. All right, so Justin Herbert just went Frymouth. I'm going to look for the receiver I was looking for earlier. Darnell Mooney. I was going to take him instead, and he's still available. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Mooney, like, he had a great year a few years ago, and he's done nothing since. But he's played with like bad passing quarterbacks, and now he has Kirk Cousins. So if Cousins is healthy, I think that Mooney has a good chance to kind of produce pretty well. And this is my last non-defense kicker. So let's see. I have 5 running backs. I have 5 receivers. All right, I'm going to go with a 6th receiver, I suppose. And I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson. Someone suggested earlier that I had to take a Redskin or a Raider. So there we go. I've fulfilled that prophecy. Did not disappoint. All right. So, so I'm through with non-kickers and non-defenses. And I don't like my team. It's okay. I think it's okay. Like, I like the Tua to Waddle connection. I love Breece Hall. Rashad White, I hate that pick. I wish I could redo it. I like James Conner a lot in the 4th round, especially considering that he was one of the top players I had in the 2nd round. So to get him at 4-11, I think is pretty good. I think Kincaid. So I think Kincaid could have a monster year, but then I'm looking at some of these other tight ends who are taken, like Jake Ferguson round 9, Dallas Goedert round 9, Evan Ingram round 10. Yeah, I'd rather have Kincaid, but given the values here, I think I have to redo that. And again, if it wasn't for this stupid bug nuts guy, I would have taken Stroud here. So this would have been a lot different. And I would be hoping for Tank Dell on the way back, so it could have Stroud to Tank Dell. But that did not come to fruition. So I'm a big fan of Christian Kirk and the Christian Watson. I'm very Christian centric here. Tajay Spears, I think, has a good amount of upside. Dobbins has obvious upside. So. Although I do want to see that video that John sent me, so I'm kind of curious about it. Bagley says Bugnuts has his Damian Pierce as RB2. Yeah, he took his 5th quarterback before his 2nd running back. So I'd love to see that strategy in real life. Dick Togo says I would have went Daniels or Broncos running back around 11, most likely Dotson around 12. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't count on getting Dotson where I did. Nick Brenneman says Miami's not going to have a worse defense. Yeah, they are. They lost so many players. They lost a lot of players to free agency. Bradley Chubb's not going to be available week 1. What's his face? Jalen Phillips is not going to be available week 1. They're going to be far worse than they were last year defensively. I don't think there's a question about that. Now, maybe second half of the year when Phillips and Chubb get healthier, sure, I could see them improving, but first half of the year, no, their games are going to be like 49-42. They're not going to be able to stop anyone. Harper says go from the 11th spot and half PPR next week. Okay, I will. Are you telling me to do that, or are you going to do that? I'd be willing to do that. John says if you're doing it Monday, can I get in? Yeah, I'm. So when we start the show, I put it on here. I put the room on here first. And then I tweeted it out. So yeah, you can definitely get in. If you're here for the start of the show, which I'll announce on Twitter. I'll be like, we're going to start the show in like 10-15 minutes, and then so you'll know when we're about to start. So it depends on like who we have as a guest on Monday. I'm going to try to have a guest on here for every mock draft and not just talk myself the entire time, because it's just so much easier when I have a guest on and I could just be like, throw it to them when I have to like update my rankings. John says I've got to get an account set up and everything. Yeah, it makes sense. But we might do it on the sleeper site. I'm going to check out that sleeper site because if you guys think it's going to be better. Bagley says you don't need an account. Yeah, I just think you need to enter in your email or something like that. Or I don't even know if you need to do that. But yeah, you can. It's not difficult to get an account here. So, but I might try that sleeper thing. I'm going to look into it now that you guys are talking about it. All right, so round 14. This is the penultimate round for some reason, and going to draft the defense. So let's see here. So I like that. So I like that Tennessee is playing a rookie quarterback in his first game. Tennessee's defense has improved a lot this offseason. They've gotten 2 shutdown cornerbacks. Their linebacker is still an issue, but they still have Jeffrey Simmons. They still have what's his face? Can't remember his name. It's Howard Landry. Yeah, they still have a good pass rush. So again, linebacker's an issue, but yeah, I think their secondary is going to be really good. So, all right, kicker is up here, and I have to go toward the bottom. Let's go with Colton Feaker. So he's a free agent kicker, but he might get a job at some point. If kickers keep grinding on stewardesses on planes, maybe he'll come through. Let's see. Kid No Name says if we can start earlier, like 10 at the latest, we could probably get more people. Yeah, I know. I just like with the Hall of Fame game tonight, I wanted to start after it was over. That's why we started so late. So usually it'll probably be like 10:30 probably. That's like when I try to start the show. That's like my ideal time. But sometimes, guests are running late or something like that, or maybe my daughter's woke up and I have to put her back to sleep or something. But yeah, the goal will be like 10:30. But yeah, it really will depend on the guest. Bagus has got to take a BT guy with my last pick. So let's see. That's who took Bagus to John Parker Romo. Very nice. A lot of interesting kicker picks here, especially with Mega taking two kickers and Togo taking two kickers, and Computer number 8 taking two kickers. So I assume that's it. Okay, yeah. So still 15 rounds for some reason. Not sure why they never went to 16 rounds. It feels like it shouldn't be that more difficult. But so who's the Wayne Corbett here? Is it let's see, Michael Wilson? This year it could be Tyler Lockett, I suppose. I'm not seeing like a clear name here. By the way, Brian Thomas, I would have taken him if it wasn't for Christian Kirk, but maybe I still should have taken him. I know there's conflict there, but it's the 11th round. I'm kind of regretting that. So I could have taken Thomas here, and then probably Pearsall here, and then Mooney. Maybe Jahan Dotson is that guy. I don't know. Quentin Johnson could be for sure. And maybe at this stage of his career, it's probably, you know what? It's probably Odell Beckham, because sometimes you'll have you'll see flashes from him, like once every 3 or 4 weeks, he'll make like a great play. He did this last year. And you're like, wow, Beckham's great. He's back again. And then he'll do nothing for the rest of the game. I think people just kind of remember what he used to be. And it's a shame that injuries have kind of ruined his career. He should, if he was never that injured all the time, he would still be productive, even now. But yeah, it's maybe I think I think this version of Odell Beckham is probably the Wayne Corbett player. There's just no upside with him. If Hill or Waddle goes down, he's going to have more opportunities, but he's just not the same player he once was. He's just way too old, way too many injuries with him. Yeah, just 15. I think a kicker. Yeah, this for some reason the site is only 15 rounds. I don't understand why, but I think you'll be okay without a kicker. I think it's usually a mistake to draft a kicker this early, unless your commissioner demands for you to do it. Jacob on here used to say that he's a commissioner of a league and he actually demands people to take kickers. There's one league I used to just never take a kicker. Because I would just pick one up before the season, just to get as many sleepers as possible. And my commissioner, this guy Drew, he still lived across the street from me when I lived with my parents. He's he's the most negative guy. He's a good guy, but he's the most pessimistic guy, I should say. And I think he'll make changes just because he thinks it's screwing him. And he Walt's never taken a kicker, and it's ruining my chances of winning. So I'll change the rules. It was always funny that he would always do that. There's one year he tried to make the league a dynasty / keeper where you could keep 1 or 2 players. And I had this insane roster where I was able to keep Patrick Mahomes in the 10th round or something because I took him there as a rookie. And I had Alvin Kamara. I kept him late too. And so I was able to keep Mahomes and Kamara. And I had this insane roster. I think I lost 1 game. That might have been the best team I've ever had. I remember my friend Body Burner, who's been on the show a few times. He's like, Walt, I just almost quit fantasy that year just because I was your team was just so unbeatable. And so after that year, Drew changed the rules to no more dynasty or kicker because he was Walt ruined the league by having this great team. It's well, I just drafted well, it's kind of stupid. Anyway, but that league is no longer functional. He shut it down in the COVID year because he was convinced that the league was not going to happen. The season was not going to happen. I kept telling him it will happen. Yeah, he shut it down, and then he said he didn't miss it. And that's happened a lot. I used to be in 6 or 7 leagues, and half the leagues shut down during COVID, and they never came back, which is a shame. Now I'm only in I was in 3 leagues last year. 2 paid and one we have an employee league here for WalterFootball. So it's Charlie's in it, Jacob's in it, Kenny's in it. The most people my developer was in it, my editor is in it. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but so it was just all WalterFootball employees. It was just for bragging rights. The other 2 leagues are paid. So let's see here. John says past fans are freaking out because Milton looks better than May. I saw that as well, and it's like, come on, it's just training camp. Like, do you think that's going to happen in the regular season? Like, Milton is made to look good in practice. Like, he has a great arm. Of course, he's going to look in practice. Like, when he has to break down defenses, like, he's not going to be able to do it. He's just going to throw a lot of interceptions. So I think Patriots fans need to keep that in mind. Or maybe it's just a negative about May, but May, I consider it to be super raw. Like, I'm not surprised that he's struggling early. Like, that's what I thought he'd do, and I thought maybe year 2 he'd look good, and then year 3 he'd look great. I think the Patriots fans need to like slow the roll with May, because I just didn't expect much from him this year anyway. The kicker nets are safer at least. Yeah. Change the rules sounds like the Democrat Party. Well, yeah, that's how he votes. So that sounds about right. Yeah, just change the rules to benefit yourself the most. What could go wrong? Dick says it's too early in the preseason. I told the guys in my league it's not mandatory to take defensive players, and they did it anyway. I was able to sign Curtis Samuel, Jalen Wright, Kendry Miller. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, just don't take defenses or kickers this early. There's no point unless you really need to, unless they force you to do so. Just because like you give yourself as many shots as possible at a sleeper. And like, yeah, you won't have a kicker defense. Just pick one up right before the season, and like you might get it's funny because the kicker or defense you pick up might outscore your opponent's kicker or defense. Like, that's just the nature of the position. Like, so there's like no reason to draft one super early. John says I had the opposite problem as a manager. I wanted to change the mandatory kicker and defense rule, got shut down. Yeah, that's so you were the manager and you got shut down. That's kind of I feel like you're a good leader. The fact that like people can vote to oppose what you want to do, which I think that you should be able to in any facet of life. Dick says I'm in 5 leagues, run 2 of my own, not to mention all the best ball and on underdog. It's hard to keep keeping the same crew together. People like kickers and team D. I replaced those positions, added extra flex. So I thought about that, like suggesting it. And like one of the leagues I'm in this league with Kenny and Jacob. This is a league I've been in since 2003. It's like guys. There's this guys from a church or something. I'm not part of this church, but I got in because my friend was best friends with this other guy, and so he invited me in this league. And like that was the friend I talked about yesterday, the guy who disappeared, who I was like really good friends with in grade school and middle school and high school. And he just fell off the face of the earth. And we think that he's the FBI or CIA because he's super, super smart guy. And like, he just like won't answer any, like no answer calls, no nothing, no answer texts. Like he just vanished. So anyway, that I've been in this league since 2003. And Kenny, I think it was Kenny was suggesting, he's like, yo, kickers are stupid. Let's get rid of kickers. And I was like, hey, Kenny, some of these idiots will draft kickers early, that's an advantage for us. Don't change the rules. And Kenny's like, okay, you're right. So that I don't know. That's why I like kickers and defenses, because people will draft them early. I told the story a few times. The first league I ever did with Kenny, this was back in 2000. We became friends in 99. We sat next to each other in a high school class, and then we were in the same league in 2000. We got to this guy's house, the commissioner's house, and we're doing a draft. We were about to start. I have the second pick, and this is back when Marshall Faulk was number 1 consensus. And this nerdy guy, he's like floppy hair, glasses. He had a fantasy magazine. He was just like reading it super closely. And he had the first pick, and he was on the clock. And the commissioner's like, all right, you're on the clock. I think his name was Evan. He's like, Evan, you're on the clock. And the guy, Evan, goes like, I'll take Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And I was like, Kenny and I looked at each other. We're like, what? What do you like? What's going on here? Like, no one said anything. And then like suddenly like interrupted. We're like what is going on? I like shot up my hand out, like I'll take Marshall Faulk. And the commissioner's like, wait, we got to stop this. Like he's like, Evan, why are you taking Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense? And Evan's like, he goes, defense wins championships. And like, I just like Kenny and I like couldn't stop laughing. And the commissioner, Eric, his name is Eric. He's like, it's not how it works. This is the first time this guy ever played fantasy football. It's like 2000, like it was new back then, new-ish. And like he's like, that's not how it works. You can get them later. Defense doesn't mean as much in fantasy. And Evan goes, oh, and then he looks at me and he's like, I'll take Marshall Faulk. And like I was so tilted the rest of the time. So you always have people taking defense early. There's most recently in that league I was talking about with Drew. There's one year some guy took a kicker in the 6th round. And he might have been a little too drunk, but that did happen. That was the thing that happened. So it does occur. That's why I don't like removing kickers and defenses, because if you're smart, you can take advantage of dumb people in a league that drafted too early. John says, "Yeah, I'm not a dictator." Yeah, I like that attitude. It's a democracy. Well, democracy is usually bad. You want a constitutional republic, but yeah, you want people to vote on changes, and you don't want a dictatorial ruler for sure. Dick says kickers are horrible. No idea why players like them. I couldn't wait to delete them out of scoring. Yeah, so I think the only way I would be in favor of deleting them is if every single owner in that league is smart and they're all going to take them in the last round. But again, that's an advantage you have in weaker leagues, I suppose. It just depends on the strength of your league. If you're in a league with like 3 or 4 smart people and like 6 dumb people, like you want kickers in your league because those dumb people are going to waste picks. But if everyone's taking kickers late, then no one's going to have an advantage, and it's just added variance on a game that has a ton of variance already with like the touchdown scoring. Just you look at like guys like Cortland Sutton scores 10 touchdowns last year, like, and he's never had more than like 5 before. That one year, Damian Harris scored 1 billion touchdowns. LeGarrette Blount one year had 1 billion touchdowns. Dwayne Bowe had 16 touchdowns one year and then had like 2 the next year. James Conner had like 15 touchdowns and then like 4. Variance is already prevalent in football, and then now you're adding more with kickers. It's kind of dumb. I agree. But it is good to kind of like weed out the bad people and just give them more bad picks. You should have taken Bucks defense. Yeah, I should have been like, that's right, Evan. I'm taking your stupid Tampa defense. I should have stuck it to him for sure. I don't remember who I drafted even at number 2. I was so tilted. I did not have a good league that year. Kenny won the championship that year. He people were laughing at him because we started off laughing at this Evan guy. And everyone was laughing at Kenny at the end. Not me, but everyone else was laughing at Kenny because he waited until the 11th round to take a quarterback, which, like, I guess back then it was unheard of. But he took 13th round. Sorry, 13th round. He took Jeff Garcia, he took Dante Culpepper in the 13th round, and then he took Jeff Garcia in the 14th round. And he had 2 stud quarterbacks super late in the draft, and he won the league easily. Kudos to Kenny for prevailing in the league. John says, LOL, once you make the pick, that should be final. That actually was a rule that we had in Drew's league. There's a story about like some guy he said like Marcel Ship when he was on the clock, and the guy who was running the draft board put Marcel Ship on the board, and the guy's like, wait, I didn't want that pick. I was just saying the name. and so like they made him keep the pick as Marcel Ship was like 2nd round. I think he was talking to someone else. So he's like stormed out of the draft, and he came back later, but he was so angry. But I kind of agree. I could see that, but it was that guy's first time. So like you don't want like a guy's first time to be bad and like give him a bad experience, so he's never going to play fantasy again. So I can see like being lenient with like someone who doesn't know the rules, so like for the first time. So Dick says, yeah, live drafts are great. One idiot in draft this past weekend drafted Herbert as a super flex quarterback. I love drafting with people in real life. It just doesn't occur as much anymore. We used to do live drafts all the time. I used to have 3 live drafts every single year, and now I don't have any. They're all online now. The 2 paid leagues I was in, both were online. One had to be because one was with some people in Arizona. I was friends with the girl who invited me. She by the way is she said she's gonna be a guest on one of our mock drafts. You guys have probably heard the name. I've called her Awesome Kelly in Arizona. We've been friends for a long time. So she's going to be one of our guests on here for mock draft. So I can't wait for that. But yeah, she invited me into her league last year, and it was actually pretty competitive. And it was like $200 entry, I think I want to say. But that had to be online because there's people in Arizona. But it's like the other league that I've been in since 2003. Like it's all local. There's one guy who lives in New York, and then Kenny is in Florida now. But everyone else is local here in Philly. And what we used to do is like the guy from New York would drive down, and like Kenny would be on call with someone, like sometimes me or sometimes someone else, and he's just follow our draft board, which is online, and then he'd make the picks. So I mean that was so much fun, and then slowly but surely, like we had fewer people show up each year, especially during the COVID year. That year for COVID, it was just me and the commissioner down here in my basement, and everyone else is online. And afterward, the commissioner and I were like, we might as well do this online because no one's showing up anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. But it was just so much fun to like, just like crap talk with people, like eat pizza, drink beer, drink beer later in the draft, not early because you don't want to get too drunk too early. But not like my friend who drafted Lance Moore twice. He got so drunk he drafted Lance Moore twice. It was a lot of fun. It's a shame that it's all over, for most people, I should say. Too much booze. John says you should wait till late August, early September for fantasy drafts for that reason. I think that the longer you wait, I think the better it is for sure. Dick says he drafted Herbert of Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Jane Daniels, Brock Purdy, just to make a reach. Yeah, especially with Herbert now with his plantar fasciitis. I know that he probably didn't know about that. It happened today, but I mean, obviously he didn't know that. But yeah, I would rather take those guys for sure, especially given that the Chargers are going to run more. Dick says, yeah, we didn't want to draft early, but it's the only week off we all had. We could all meet up in person. It's fun doing drafts live. It gets pretty wild right from the start with the crazy picks. Yeah, it is so much fun to do live. I told this story before, but in 2013, we had people from the forum. Like we used to have a forum on my website. We had like guys come to my house. We had 12 people here. Now two are my friends. So it was me and two of my friends, and then 9 guys that we never met before came to my house for a weekend, and it was just so much fun. Some came by Friday night. We went out to a bar. Then we played beer pong in my basement that night. And then everyone crashed my basement. And then the next day we watched some college football. Then we drafted. And then we had a party. I invited some of my other friends. And so we had a big party at my house. And then the next day, people left the next day, but that was so much fun. And that was the I had an alarm set at 12:35 a.m. It just went off. That was the league where the one guy who sadly passed away recently. It just sucks, but he drafted Lance Moore. He got so drunk that we were convinced that he would draft the same player again. So I kind of like led him away. I was like, hey, let's go get some beers. And so I think it was Body Burner, he deleted Lance Moore off this guy's roster on his computer. And so his pick came around, like once we started drafting again, his pick came around, and he's sitting next to me. He's so drunk. He's like, Walt, is Lance Moore really available? I was trying to hide my laughter. I was like dying. And he's like, I'll take Lance Moore, and the whole room just died of laughter. Everyone erupted in laughter because he drafted the same player twice. It was very apparent how drunk he was. He was at that stage where he tried drafting this, like players who drafted like 5 times. That happens occasionally. Like sometimes you'll get a guy like trying to draft someone who was drafted a couple rounds ago. That happens occasionally, but he tried to do it so many times, and everyone knew how drunk he was. So Yeah, so he ended up drafting Lance Moore twice, and the best part was at the end of the draft, he's like, he's still super drunk. He's like, well, what do you think about my roster? And I looked at it, I'm like, you don't have Lance Moore written down, and he goes, I got Lance Moore. So he thought he tried to draft the guy who was drafted, and he ended up drafting him, but he didn't know he drafted him. So it was so funny. He was a good guy. This guy Gong on the forum. Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, he passed away recently, which is it's a shame. But that was such a fun weekend that we had here, and people were talking about like doing it again. Problem is, like, I have 2 kids now. My wife would probably kick me out of the house if I try to do it here. That was back when I actually just met my wife, my now wife. Back then, she was just we weren't even like officially dating. I think we had like 3 dates or something like that back then. We were just still getting to know each other, and she came over for the party that Saturday, and she's like, well, how do you know these people? I'm like, I don't know these people. They just came over to my house. There's a couple guys, including that Gong guy. A couple guys drove from Cleveland here. One guy drove from Tennessee. It was like that. That's how crazy it was. And my wife thought I was nuts, or my now wife thought I was nuts for like inviting people to my house I didn't know. But it was a blast. Like that was one of my favorite weekends. It was so fun. Sue says COVID wrecked the social fabric. It really did. It sucks, man. Used to have so many gatherings, like, and just, I don't know, like, I mean, I want to say COVID's over. Like, people still get COVID sometimes, but it's not like prevalent anymore. Like, I feel like people should go back to where they were before, but for some reason they don't. It changed a lot, and it just, I don't know. I feel like it's just so much. Life was just so much more fun before COVID, and now it's completely changed everything. It just sucks. Dick's laughing, and then Sue says, 1 year I got the raspberry for drafting Josh Gordon fairly late. I defended the pick by saying he has an S after his name. That means he's super nice. Very nice. Vaga says there are fewer daily new cases now than there was when it was officially declared a pandemic. In the US, that is. It's sure people still get it from time to time, but it's not. It's crazy. I still see people wearing masks. Like I was at my son's swim lessons. Like this old lady walked in. I almost took a picture of her for Cat Lady of the Week. It's kind of awkward to do it because people are like, why are you taking pictures of this old lady? But no, she came into this super hot and humid pool area. You know, I'm sure you guys might know, like a pool area gets like really hot and humid, especially when it's summer. But no, she walked in, she was wearing a mask. I'm like, geez, like, lady, like, what are you doing? Like, it's like, first of all, COVID is long gone for the most part, and second, like you're just suffocating yourself in this hot, humid place. Like, I don't know, like how you're breathing at all. Like the oxygen is just not getting to your brain. I don't know. Like, what are you afraid of? And I don't know. Like, some people just kind of lost their minds. I knew this guy, like a really smart guy. He's a professor at a couple of universities here in the Philly area, and he does not meet with anyone anymore. Like we used to on Saturdays, we used to go to restaurants, like me, him, a few other people. He just refuses to like go to restaurants with people now. He just it's just stuck in his home all day, like every day. And I'm just like, man, you just got to live life. Like, I know, he has some medical problems. So like he's at greater risk than the average person, but like, man, it's like, what kind of life are you living? Just sheltered in your house the whole time. It feels horrible. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's not like a life that I'd want to live. John says, my mom wears a mask even before COVID has an autoimmune disease. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Yeah, so maybe this old lady has some issues, but I feel like a lot of people wear the mask just because of COVID. And like, there's a disclaimer. I post this all the time during the week. There's a disclaimer on every box of masks that says this will not prevent you from contracting COVID. I guess like they have to have that disclaimer, but I've read that like the particles of COVID are smaller than like what the mask blocks. So it doesn't do anything for COVID. Now it might block other stuff that makes sense. That would make sense for your mom. But for COVID, it doesn't do anything. So I always thought it was very stupid. So yeah. All right. So I guess that's about it for tonight. I just really appreciate you guys coming on as always. John says it prevents you from particles of most fluids. So yeah, that's true. Yeah, for sure. It does prevent other stuff. But as far as like people will just wear the mask for COVID, and like those people are stupid. But yeah, I could see a reason for wearing masks for other purposes for sure. All right, guys, really appreciate it again. Thank you so much for joining me for this fantasy mock draft, and we're gonna try to do them earlier. Like I said, 10:30 start time I think would be the best. Sue with the 222, he says, thank you so much. So pick 12. Couldn't get Barkley, Taylor, or Gibbs. All right, let's look back to so Barkley computer went 8. Taylor went 6 from the computer, and then Gibbs went 11. So he took AJ Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown, which I like. I think those are 2 great picks. I'd rather have like Barkley / AJ Brown or Taylor / AJ Brown or Jahmyr Gibbs / AJ Brown. So I think in a normal setting, you'd probably get one of them. Just in this case, you didn't. Like the computer drafted them. Like I've seen Saquon Barkley go in the second round of fantasy mock drafts. So I think that like Saquon, although Saquon AJ you probably don't want to do. So you probably want to do Saquon, Amon-Ra. I mean, from where you were picking, like what I'd rather have Travis Etienne, no. Derrick Henry, no. Isaiah Pacheco, no. Josh Jacobs. Maybe Josh Jacobs. I like Josh Jacobs a lot, but maybe Brown and St. Brown are safer. Wilson, no. London, no. Nakua, no. Achane, no. Mixon, no. So you took 2 of the top 3 guys there. It was AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Jacobs for me. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about Josh Jacobs. He would have conflicted with your Jordan Love pick. So if you're targeting Love for some reason, then maybe you don't want to go Josh Jacobs. But yeah, I have no issue with Brown, St. Brown. I think that's it's a great start to your fantasy mock draft. So I'm a big fan, so I like that. So yeah, once again, Sue, thank you so much for the 222 super chat. Really appreciate it. Okay, John with the rug pull here. Just kidding. My mom's fine. Just want to make you feel like a jerk. I do think there is. I'm serious. I do think there's merit to people wearing a mask if they have other issues. But I stand by what I said with the COVID thing. I think like there are dumb people with COVID, like dumb people afraid of COVID who are wearing masks. Like those people are idiots. Now, if you're wearing masks for other purposes, I get it. But the masks don't stop COVID. It even says it on the wrapping. Like, so why are you wearing it? It's stupid. Yeah, go on, John, for sure. Dick says, did you like how my team ended up going 3 receivers to start? I would have took Daniels as a QB in round 11 before I got booted. All right, let's look at Dick's team here. So he started Tyreek, Puka, and Mike Evans. So I'm not a big fan of Mike Evans this year. I think that he's 31. Dave Canales is gone, and Liam Cohen's offense usually goes through the slot. I think Tampa's going to regress this year. Their interior blocking is awful. Unless Graham Barton pans out as a rookie, and just never know. So I like Hill and Nakua to start. I'm not a fan of Evans. Now I'm not opposed to 3 receivers to start. Like from a technical building standpoint, like I think that's fine. Now the rest of your team looks like Kamara, Kelsey, Pollard, Ford, Trey Benson, and then you took Ty Chandler there. And then he took, and you said you got booted, so that's why he took the 2 QBs there. And then Jane Daniels, I think, I prefer Daniels at 11 over Lawrence. So I mean, outside of Evans, like I think this team looks good. Kamara has, I think, like has some downside, but he has a ton of upside for sure. Kelsey. So I've been dogging Kelsey because his ADP is in the 3rd round, but you've got him in the 5th round, which is good. Pollard. He has upside, but downside for sure. Like he could split touches with Spears, but they did pay him a lot of money, so I think that's in your favor. I like Jerome Ford, and then Benson. I think you could have gotten Benson a little later. It's the James Conner show there, and Conner could get hurt, but that's what you need for Benson to go off. So like this pick, I'm not a fan of. Mike Evans, I'm not a fan of, but the rest of your team is pretty good. Instead of Mike Evans, I probably would have gone. Given the quarterback situation, I talked about this earlier. I'm not a big fan of these players. Like, I guess you could have taken James Cook here, I suppose, or Aaron Jones. Like, but you could have gone Mahomes or Josh Allen. And like, I'm always opposed to drafting quarterbacks early, but this might be an exception this year. I just think that this whole round of round 3, outside of the quarterbacks and Laporta, just looks weak. Like, I guess Waddle's fine. Chris Olave's fine. Mike Evans, I don't like. Cooper Kupp, I don't like. Nico Collins, I don't hate, but I'm not a big fan either. DJ Moore's okay. That pick's okay. Walker, not a fan. He's on my bust list. James Cook, and I like James Cook a lot more PPR in standard. I'm not a huge fan, but he's okay. Like this whole round just sucks. So maybe this is the round where you just draft your quarterback. Try to get like Hurts, Allen, or Mahomes, which again I'm always opposed to it, but I'm just not seeing the talent here in round 3, especially starting at 210 or 211, or even like I'm not a fan of Achane, and Mixon's just okay. So maybe like if Mixon goes here at 209, then starting at 210 it gets really bleak. So yeah, maybe that's where you start taking your quarterbacks. I'm kind of like rethinking my whole my belief system here. I want Kenny on the show to like talk me out of it, but I'm not seeing it. So So overall I like your team, Dick. Just a couple of picks to disagree with, but I could be wrong about Evans, could be wrong about Benson. So from a technical standpoint, I think you can definitely go 3 receivers because you ended up with some solid running backs. Dick says disregard the final 4 picks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got that. Sue says, doesn't Mark Andrews turn to tight end stud status this year? Jeezy went 7th round. Yeah, that is great value there. Seriously, Mark Andrews 7th round. Yeah, again, that's the reason I could have waited on Kincaid and got Mark Andrews here. So if I were to redo this, I would still go Hall the 1st round. Here in the 2nd round, so I don't have to go quarterback because theoretically, Big Bugnuts as a real person would not draft quarterbacks at 212 and 301, even though he could have, given what he did. So I guess here I go Jalen Waddle. I don't know. Still, it's rough. So I think I go Jalen Waddle here, and then here I go Mahomes. I still take James Conner, I suppose. And then 5th round, I go running back, maybe Montgomery. I suppose I guess he's fine. Maybe I go running back around 5, I think. And then Christian, I think the Christian picks are fine. And then Christian Kirk's fine. And then here in 7th round, I go Mark Andrews. I think that would have been much better. Yeah, I think that's the way I would go. Then my running backs would be Breece Hall and James Conner. My receivers would be Breece Hall, James Conner would be my running backs. My receivers would be Jalen Waddle, Christian Kirk, and then whoever I get in round 8 or round 9. And then my tight end would be Mark Andrews. My quarterback would be Mahomes. And I guess with Mahomes, I'd try to target either Rashee Rice or Marquise Brown. And Marquise Brown went where? Some earlier. Marquise Brown. He went at 7. Okay, so maybe I couldn't have gotten him. Or maybe I go with Rashee Rice. Where did Rashee Rice go? So Rashee Rice went in around 7 too. I feel like he should go later just because he could be suspended. I don't know what his ADP is. Let's look it up. Fantasy Pros, Rashee Rice. Maybe I'm wrong. He's 85 overall. which means he's 8-0, 801. So he went a little earlier than usual, but I'm kind of surprised. I thought he'd go like round 9 or round 10 because he might be suspended for 6 games. But yeah, again, like I think you quarterback in round 3 is starting to look pretty good to me. So. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Especially thank you to Slew for the 222 super chat. Just really appreciate it. Going to be back on Saturday with Tom. Hopefully he watches the Purple Wedding episode and we get to talk about it. But yeah, that'll be the last Saturday episode I do with Tom because the preseason is going to dominate on Saturdays for the next 3 weekends, and then Tom will be back on the show for sure. I don't think Tom doesn't do fantasy football as far as I know, so he won't be one of the guests. We're going to try to get guests on to every fantasy draft that we do. So. Sue says next draft you don't have to talk all the time. You can hit the play button for the old NFL Films music. It'll jack us up. But then we'll have some copyright issues and we might get taken down for that, unfortunately. I don't know how that applies. So I don't know if I could do that. Maybe I could get like AI to make music that's similar to it or something. But I don't think I could do that, unfortunately. But I will try to get guests, like I said, for every mock draft we do. So do that. So we'll be doing mock drafts next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I don't know about Thursday. It depends on how many games there are and when they end. But for sure, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week, we're going to do fantasy mock drafts. Show with Tom on Saturday, and then that'll be the schedule the entire August. If there's like 1 or 2 games on Thursday, we could do a mock draft. But if there's like 4 or 5, it just won't be able to because it's just going to keep track of all the games. Yeah, lawyers who screwed up our Rainmakers by the way, I thought about this with the payout for Rainmakers. So they ruled these NFTs as securities. So wouldn't DraftKings have to pay us full value for these securities because they're not NFTs, they're securities. Like if E-Trade deleted my shares of GameStop, they would have to compensate me fully, right? So wouldn't DraftKings have to compensate you fully for securities? I don't know. I don't like. I took 2 law classes in college, so I know a little bit about law. But this is like out of my depth here. So, I said this last night. I talked to my lawyer. He said if they don't offer you fair compensation, we can go to court. So, yeah, it'll be hopefully. I just hope it doesn't come to that. I don't want to deal with it, but I will. I don't have a choice. So just. I can't believe I can't believe what they did. I can't wait for Kenny to come on to rant about it. I just I'm still like really angry about it, and frankly I'm upset too because this is like, I mentioned this yesterday, but it was my hobby now. Like I love collecting these cards. I love making lineups. It's just so much fun, and they took it away from us because they're securities. And I don't know why you have to listen to courts when Joe Biden, like Supreme Court is like you can't forgive student loans. Joe Biden's like I don't care, I'll do it anyway. Like. I know DraftKings is not Joe Biden, the president, but then again, this is not the Supreme Court either. So I don't know. I don't know why DraftKings is looking to boot here. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna head out. Hope you guys have a great start to your weekend. We'll be back on Saturday, so can't wait to do another show with Tom. And have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.